record button for those who can't join us live. So let me kick it off with just a huge welcome to everybody. Super excited to be on with you. Got some great stuff today. Why don't we start off with a little bit of recognition. So we have some sparkly new diamonds from September. So first we have Quan Jin, who's under Jackie Ritz, new diamond from China. Super excited. I think he did it in like 6 months or something, just off the charts incredible. So congratulations, Quan. We also have Angela Reed and Haley Weiss, who went diamond. So congratulations and welcome. I'm super excited for you guys. Also, hopefully everybody is plugged into the post-convention tour events. Obviously, this is a huge opportunity for us to take the excitement, the energy, just the spirit of doTERRA far and wide to those who couldn't come to convention. So be sure you're getting the word out to your teams, thinking about even prospects that you could bring. Post-convention tour, it's a great way to get volume. We did talk doTERRA into keeping the post-convention tour kits available at the events. That was not going to be on the docket, but it is now. So we're super, super excited about that. Also, probably most of you are aware about some of the kit changes. doTERRA has some slight updates. They've simplified the enrollment kit options and just kind of streamlined some. So, and another piece of good news there, they were going to cut the emotional aromatherapy kit as an enrollment kit, but we talked them into keeping that. So that's super good news. Okay, I want to start out. Any questions so far about post-convention tour, or I don't have a ton of details about enrollment kits, but any questions about the tour and why it's so important?
Hey, Andy, this is Jared. I have one question about the kits. Now, you said that they're available at the post-convention tours. They're also available as LRPs. Are the kits at the post-convention tour going to be any different than the ones available for an LRP?
That's a great question. I haven't heard if there are any differences or not. I know that they're really leveraging the kits to get people to the events. So I would guess that they're going to sweeten the deal to get people to the events, but I haven't heard. So great question for your account rep. Okay, let me go ahead and jump over to screen sharing. I have a couple of ideas that I want to share with you. Here we go, share screen. So how many of you remember Corey Lindley's presentation from convention when he was saying that he was giving a report on how many people are currently in doTERRA, and you know, we know that number is somewhere around 3 million. And then he talked about the study that was recently released about the market potential. So does anybody remember the potential just in America alone? So currently we're a $1 billion company in gross. Does anybody remember what he presented? If I heard right, he said the market potential in the next year or two is going to be $7 billion industry. And by, I want to say 2020, I think it's going to be triple that. So, so what does that make you think of when you hear that? I want to make this interactive, so let's unmute yourself and let's make this a dialogue. What do you see when you hear those kind of numbers?
More classes.
More classes, right?
Absolutely.
So
Amazing. We're in an amazing company.
amazing company and amazing time, right? So what I'm seeing is that we haven't even scratched the surface yet. You know, I talk to a few builders sometimes who seem to think, you know, doTERRA has already hit their growth curve, their growth, you know, the big bubble, and they're on the plateau right now. But when I look at these numbers right here, I would say that that is the furthest thing from the truth. So I want to share with you some ideas that we're probably going to hit on in more detail next month. But let me just give you a quick overview. So in any business cycle, in the growth of any business, can you guys see this chart, crossing the chasm? I'm going to
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. So this is an idea that was brought forth by Jeffrey Moore. He's written some books. He's an incredible guy. But he basically says that when a new idea comes out, there are, you know, they're brought forth by innovators, and then you have the early adopters, people who, no matter what the price, no matter what the inconvenience, they're going to jump in and they're going to grab a hold of this. And in doTERRA, what we've found is that the early adopters have tended to be, you know, the people who are really open to, you know, unorthodox health solutions. So, you know, you tend to have the people, you know, like Laura Jacobs and Boyd Truman, and, you know, the people who have been working in natural health for a long time. So they're not as mainstream as, you know, as other people. They tend to be outside the box thinkers. So the early majority and the late majority represents mainstream America. So when I look at those numbers about the market potential, what percentage of mainstream America have we really tapped so far? Like, if there are 125 million households in America, and currently we're only in, you know, 2 to 3 million of those, then like we're only, you know, tops 2%, right? So currently doTERRA has done a great job of attracting early adopters. And right now what we're seeing is we are totally busting into this early majority. And the reason doTERRA has been so successful is because we have a mainstream message, you know, that you can be empowered, you can take control of your health, and you don't have to be a wacko to be healthy and to use our products. So what happens in most companies is this big scary chasm before the early majority really takes hold. This is what makes or breaks a company. This is what determines whether they remain on the fringes or they become mainstream. So if we were to look at Apple, this happened in the early 1980s for Apple. They were definitely a fringe, you know, a huge minority in terms of market share for all their products. And then in the 80s, designers started latching on to the Apple products. You had the whole field of, architecture and fine art, and those people wanted what Apple had to offer. Then it spread from there. And then you had just your home users and your techies, and then by the time late majority, Apple is now the largest company on earth. It's the biggest company, computer company by a long shot, and anybody who doesn't have an iTunes account would they're laggards, right? They're people who they got forced into it just because you can't buy cassette tapes anymore, just because you can't buy 8 tracks, and you can't buy VHSs anymore, right? Like they get pulled into it. So my question for you is, where do you see yourself on this curve, and how can you better attract the early and late majority? So let's just open that up for questions right now. Where do you see yourself? And let's just start there. Who wants to volunteer? Where do you see yourself on this chart in terms of doTERRA? Go ahead and unmute yourself, and let's hear from a couple people.
I'll jump in, Andy. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Hey there. I sort of feel like an early adopter, but I was following my wife.
Uh-huh.
So, I look at the big picture, especially in the male segment, I guess. I feel like an early adopter, and I feel like there's a lot of still uphill conversations to be had, and yet there are a tremendous amount of people who joined or understood, the power of essential oils and doTERRA and the opportunity and all of those things well before I did. So it's kind of a trick, question how you look at that versus your own experience and the large effect.
Sure. Yeah. So I would definitely put you guys right there in that early adopter to early majority phase, like where you guys have been pioneers. You caught the vision early on, and if, as you look at your team, where would you put them, Keith? Would you say that your team is mostly early adopter or early majority?
I would feel like a lot of them are right on that line, right? Like, I think their own personal use would lean them towards an early adopter, but their confidence in sharing and growing and building and really putting themselves out there puts them more like they're waiting for that comfort level, right? Like they're waiting for a little bit more of that market saturation where they feel like they're not the crazy oil person, right?
Totally.
That's my experience.
Exactly.
Right there.
I love it. That's exactly what I'm seeing too. So, and you brought up some really important points. The early majority, they need to feel like this is not the crazy thing to do, and it also needs to be a little more convenient and streamlined for them. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The early adopters are the ones who camp out in the Apple Store parking lot for a week before the new product comes out, and they'll pay any price, and they don't care what bugs there are. Like, you know what I mean? But the early majority, they're a lot more conservative. And I remember when the first Apples came out, they didn't have as much compatibility with printers. And so your options for printing were a lot smaller, which printers you could work with. And so that was a huge struggle. Even the ports that were on the Apple were totally different, and so it was a big stretch. So if we tie that into doTERRA, people need to feel like this is not wild, wild west. Like I can come into this and I can see myself in it, first of all, as a product user. But in terms of builders, what do you think builders are looking for in that early majority?
Convenience comes the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I remember when Carrie first started, and that we were faxing in enrollment forms. And I can't imagine some of our builders now dealing with that, just from a technology standpoint, just from the, like there was no the day of the 30th of the month wasn't a rush. It was the 27th because you had to get it in and get it processed, right?
Totally. Exactly. So those that early to late majority, they're looking for, okay, this is established. This is, this is not going to be crazy in terms of enrolling people, in terms of training people. I need it to look, feel, and act like a legitimate business, and I want to get involved because it has a proven, a business system. So what we're finding is a lot of the new and up, the latest diamonds and the up and coming leaders, they're really different from the early adopters, and they're completely they're ready to take it on and they're excited, but they also really value systems, and they really appreciate order and organization. So next month we have one of our new diamonds who's going to be on the call, and one of the things that they're doing to have success is when they look at each of their legs, they think of each of their legs as a business structure. So what they do is they organize, like if you were to launch a normal business, what are some of the teams that you would have on that, in that business? You would have, you just throw out some answers. Who would you have? You'd have a sales force,
Marketing.
Inside sales, outside sales, accounting.
Yep. You'd have HR.
My favorite.
You'd have all those things. And the way that they're organizing and attracting and placing is based on this well-rounded skill set. So I know this is crazy, but for all of you on this call, we're all diamonds and above. But I'm kind of ashamed to admit that this last month is the first time that I've actually thought about treating legs like a business, where it's an autonomous, independent group of producers whose skills complement each other, just like a real business. So they're having massive success, and they're actually using an interview process where they're not looking for homeless people to and begging them to be on their team. They're doing an interview process, and they're saying, we have some openings, and here are the things we're looking for. Please, apply if you're interested. And they're turning people away too. So it's incredible how much more people want it and how much they work for it when you use that kind of takeaway approach. So it's been really, really fascinating to watch them grow their team using this kind of traditional sales methodology. So tell me what you're seeing and what your thoughts are so far.
Well, Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Karina.
I love this talk, and I think it's a really interesting thing because I think for a lot of us, we're the innovators.
Yeah.
And so I know I have been involved in natural health and healing I've been using essential oils since I was a teenager. Started using them in my massage practice when I was like 19. So all that stuff is just so natural, I think, to us. And even in the business, we just sort of all dove in. We didn't have tools, right? And so I think it's so important what you're saying, because I'm seeing that too with the new builders. They really want the systems. They want it broken down. And I think sometimes as innovators can almost downplay that, because there's like this, just figure it out. That's what we did, right? You just figure it out. And that is a strong leadership principle, the ability to just figure things out. But I'm definitely seeing a lot of momentum in really applying the tools. And so, for example, like the Share Success tools, we're really breaking it down into month-long challenges with our team with Facebook and, using Zoom, and just kind of bite-sizing it down, though, and giving it to them in these bite-sized pieces, but with the coaching and the mentoring. And so far, the feedback is phenomenal. So I think, I don't know, I'm just seeing that we're trying to, implement more of this as well for these newer builders coming up, and really giving them, just laying it all out for them.
Right. And you're still attracting awesome pioneers, Karina. You've got the pinchers on your team, and they're rocking it. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
People, they're also bringing a higher standard for a streamlined business process. And so there's never been a better time for people to come in and engage in doTERRA. We have, the company is just so on target with brand, the message, and then we have the tools to now follow up and train and launch builders and really empower them with everything they need. So we're seeing the exact same thing. Any other thoughts or questions?
Well, I guess I have a question, Andy. Like, how do you, so this, this message would be then about how to get this more to the mainstream, right? The late adopters, or which was that? Look at your slide again. The late majority. Is that the one that we're trying to attract now? So what are some thoughts about how to reach those groups? I would love to hear more on that.
So I would say that we're still in this chasm where I would say that most of our diamond leaders are either innovators or early adopters. So I would say, just like with Apple, the early majority, they needed systems, they needed convenience, and they needed to feel like this is a really well-established machine. This is not a crazy new venture that's going to require a huge amount of risk on their part, but it's a proven methodology and a proven system for them to jump into. So how do traditional businesses operate? They have an onboarding process where you get trained. They have policies and procedures, and they even have an onboarding process that looks a lot like hiring. So I'm not saying everybody has to use this method that this team is using, but we shouldn't. The main point that I want to be making is that we hold the cookie. Some of you heard Seth Rismay talk about that, but you've got the cookie. So you've got this incredible business opportunity. And you should never think of yourself in a position where you need to be begging or, really cajoling someone into doing something, because you have an incredible opportunity. I think for most of us, it's just a slight paradigm shift that you don't have to be a crazy oil person anymore. You don't have to be a rugged individualist or a kamikaze pioneer to be successful. So open your mind to who you can attract and who you can bring in that's not one of those people, right? That's in this early majority. So people who are maybe more in traditional JOB, someone who's in maybe traditional sales, or this team that we're going to have on next month. They have a lot of experience with online marketing, and so when they create a team, they bring in someone who can get leads, through either sales or market, lead generation. Then they have someone who's a closer, someone who can really get people to commit and take action. And then they also have someone who can manage processes. So, kind of a tech person. And so those are kind of the three key skills that they put into each team. So, just as you build your list and as you approach people, just shift that thinking to, okay, what are the buckets that I need of skills to launch a team? And how can I attract those people? Instead of just going from, mom to mom, which is kind of how we've built so far, how can I actually go out and target some incredible high-skilled people? And how can I step into the VP role that you really have? Each of you is managing, a multi-million-dollar business. So how would the CEO of a multi-million-dollar business act and interact with people and prospects, right? So it's really just a paradigm shift of how can I show up and attract people, and also streamline the onboarding process. We still have leaders who think that the best way to grow a doTERRA business is to stumble and fall on your face as many times as possible, and just to blaze your own trail. And that's honestly how they think. That's how you develop leaders. And that's just not what we're seeing as we look at where diamonds are popping, where growth is happening, and how people are onboarding new leaders. It's not the old way. It's more systematized, it's organized, and people are just coming in it with so much more confidence. So does that kind of answer your question, Karina?
Yes, it does. Thanks, Andy.
Absolutely. So, any other questions or thoughts so far?
Hey, I love what Andy's been sharing, and I just want to pipe in here and help you guys see what we really have before us. How many people in the field of network marketing have ever reached this tipping point? And we truly are here on the verge of early majority, right? I know I'm fine. And we're ready to take this position. We get to claim this. You get to choose in to taking it to a whole new level. And being open to this, being open to doing things differently than they have been before is going to be what opens you up to the opportunities that are coming next. Ryan Harris, I love that beard.
Looking good, bro.
Woohoo! Hey, so along these lines, I don't know how many of you got to connect to the GoPres call from last week, but we had Deanna Nichols on, and it was a power play on what it really takes to go up to the next level. So I want to marry this concept. You're seeing the stats, you're seeing the process. This is a proven process. It's understood. They've done all of this research behind it. Now bring it home into your world. What's it going to take to attract these bigger builders, bigger leaders that are ready to take this message to the world and to that early majority group? And I think this is the invitation. I want to invite you to connect to that call. Watch that call if you haven't already.
We'll post it in the Diamond Roundtable.
Yep. It's already posted there,
Oh,
I think.
there you go.
And the call really is to up-level who you are, up-level your love. Love big, love wide, and your people will sort themselves out, and the right people will flow into your life and into your doTERRA experience. So connect to that. We've got a lot of specifics about what to do with your builders currently, maybe some of those that you're struggling with, and what to do to onboard your new builders that are coming your way and attracting at a whole new level. So connect to that. We love you guys. We're stoked that doTERRA is starting this diamond call at 11 a.m. today. This will be the first one. Emily and I were eating lunch, and she brought up this idea, and we talked about how bringing the diamonds together and allowing for this kind of collaboration on a higher level could take things to the next level. So we gave her some ideas, and we're excited to see how that plays out today. Hope you can grab that. We'd love to open this last part up for any Q&A, if you have it.
So go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any questions.
Bring it.
So, Andy, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. I can really appreciate the, as you present, like you said, the paradigm shift. I can appreciate viewing this as a traditional business, or how we would hire people in those processes, right? And I can see already how I would perhaps show up differently, holding myself in that way. Like you had mentioned, we hold the cookie, right? So as I think, though, part of our struggle is that we've tried, I think we're trying to do the, as you mentioned, the old way, right? Trying to balance leading from a position of allowing our leaders to be leaders, as opposed to trying to do or create everything for them, or give them everything on a plate. And I don't know, we're having a hard time sometimes figuring out the right approach. And so I heard you speak a little bit to that in regards to those who are popping up as diamonds are buying into more the system idea, or approaching it like a traditional business, interviewing people and holding that that reference point on how they approach their business. And so I guess I would love to hear perhaps a little more clarity spoken to how you're approaching leaders that aren't necessarily engaging in a way that's leading. Are you saying that you're stepping in for them? I mean, in a traditional business, you would fire them, right?
Right, totally.
So that's not really an option. And so we're trying to promote leadership.
Sure.
And sometimes that is failure, falling flat on your face, is a requirement to learn lessons. We get feedback that way. I know that my face is flat for a reason. And, you know, I'm wearing this beard to protect myself from all the failures I've had. But so anyway, I'd love some clarification in regards to approaching leaders that are somewhat struggling, how to integrate them into this business approach or mindset, and that ideal. So
that's a great question, and point. You know, it's super on point with the age-old debate: how much do I do for my leaders, right? How much do I engage and empower them versus enable them and weaken them? So at the end of the day, to be successful, you've got to be a producer, period. So I think the key is to set up clear expectations and metrics to engage their ability to produce. So when we launch a brand new builder, we start with the build guide. So number one requirement is you've got to do those three things in the build guide. You've got to set a goal, do your names list, and schedule 3 classes. If you can't do that as a bare minimum, there's no way we're going to work with you. That's the bare minimum.
Yeah. But it's a filter, right? That
Yep.
serves as an awesome filter to let us know where to put our time, where to put our energy, and we can help those that choose in go to the next level, right? So let's use an example. This last week, we had somebody choose in. They did the build guide, those 3 steps, then they start moving into the launch guide, and they've prepped a class. So I hop on a plane up to Jackson Hole, go teach that class, right? We talked through things on how to prepare people, how to sample people. You know, you've been there before. Even though you've done that on their first time round, we had 6 people at the class. And we were shooting for 10 to 15 for sure, right? 3 of those 6 were her husband and her builder that she'd already signed up. And then, you know, she had only been accountable. She'd only gone into the launch guide this deep, you know, it was definitely surface level. So we took it to the next level there in person. We, you know, invite that accountability to go up. She's texting us morning and night, 10 a.m., 10 p.m. right now, because she just needs a lot of high touch to launch off, right? And right now we're focusing on putting in enough energy and momentum to get her launched. And it's working, right? So every oil kit yesterday, 2 more ready to go today. And this process of trusting in them, yet working with where they are developmentally, you know, we got to give them that space to grow up. So, you know, envision it, right? Like we talk about the developmental stages and use the family metaphor. She's still an infant in doTERRA, and she toddled along to get to that class, and expecting her to rock that class is, you know, insanity for me. But she toddled through that, and now we're going to help her get to the next level so she can become a young adult and take on new stuff. And I'm giving her opportunities all along to share her experiences, to show up, and she's rocking it. She's done it. So I think it's a combo, and the answer is it depends, right? Because we're dealing with people. So every person requires a little different, you know, some are going to require more hand-holding at the beginning. Some are going to be ready to take off and be young adults already. You get to decide, Ryan. You get to use that amazing intuition that you've already developed.
I'm working on having eyes to see exactly how to approach each of the people.
That's awesome.
And I'm working on eyes to see how to approach me too, right? It's a work in progress for all of us. So
Totally.
we're working on it. Thanks for the answer.
Great question. Love it.
Great insights. What else is up for you? Where are you feeling pain coming back from convention?
Are you talking to me specifically?
No, everybody, but
I was going to say, because I don't have an answer.
you don't have pain?
Oh, come on, Natalie. don't date me.
No. I just know that that's what my business coach is asking me every week. Where's your pain? Where's your pain?
Sure.
We shift that.
We have a lot of excitement, and we have so far we haven't hit really any pain walls. We're pushing forward in a way that I think we've never done before right now. Together, especially, we're finally listening to our own advice on how to work together.
Have you guys been playing back that leadership talk?
Yeah, we just asked Brandon for it, actually. We're like, hey, can we
get that
recording?
Yeah, bring it home.
That's awesome.
It's awesome to hear. Way to create that.
Okay, if there's no other questions, then thank you so much for hopping on and playing with us this week. Always good to connect. Bring any other questions or thoughts to the Facebook group, and rock on. I'll do a little plug too. This Thursday, I'm hosting a Belief Breakthrough call. So the link is on the Diamond, again, the Natural Solutions Revolution Facebook group. That's at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. The intention for that call initially is just for us as diamonds to kind of play together and coach each other through different modalities of belief breakthrough. So Heather Matter has done one. Katie Adams has done one. I think we've got Becky Hinsey on the docket for another. So in Roxanne Bybee, Kyla Fennell. So it's really fun. It's also a chance for you to learn how to coach your team members on belief breakthrough. So the plan is to do that every Thursday at 10 a.m. So please join us and play in that space too.
Yeah. Join in as you need it. We're so stoked for all that's coming forward from convention, all the flow, all the growth. If you haven't joined the Brazilian Mastermind group and you're interested in participating in pre-market activities there, what was the exact? We'll post the exact Facebook page right here. I think it was just Brazilian.
Just Brazil Mastermind.
Brazil Mastermind. So some great headway this week. I met with Corey and Mark, and we're exploring some options so we can get some retail sales flowing and then be able to open up the country. So just seeing the development. I think they've already got somebody chosen to be able to head up that market a year and a half from now. So similar to Greg Cook going over to China, just kind of taking over and sending somebody down to Sao Paulo. So good stuff ahead, growing on every front. Hey, did you get that question?
About the time?
Yeah.
Responded to.
Okay. Awesome conversation. Love the chat. Love the way you guys are bringing it from wherever you are.
Okay.
Okay.
See you next time.